Imagine a world where the price of critical metals like titanium and palladium skyrocket overnight, leaving industries like aerospace and tech scrambling. Looks like the Biden administration is flirting with the possibility, trying to pressure the G7 allies to consider imposing sanctions on Russia's supply of these two metals. But here's the real question. Can the West afford to weaponize these commodities without triggering chaos in their own markets? And if so, what's the end game? We're already witnessing gold and silver start to get out of hand. I'm not sure, but we're going to find out. Let's talk about this. All right, so I want to take a quick minute, share some thoughts in reference to the possible sanctions on top of the other sanctions that the U.S. is looking to impose on Russia. And by now, we can all see that they're not really working. But then again, for the sake of trying to play tough and try to play hardball with the Eastern Hemisphere, sanctions is a way to further push nations to de-dollarize away from our U.S. liabilities. But I want to share a quick article with you in reference to some of the things that could unfold, because the last time there was some type of hiccup, the palladium market, we saw the price shoot up tremendously. And based upon this activity here, because Russia is a heavy contributor to the global supply, and if they decide to divert supply to other places other than the Western Hemisphere, there could be a real price shock. And that's just one of many other things worth considering. So if you guys want to see more of these little quick takes, as always, drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this subject. Hit that thumbs up button. And if you find value, take this and share it so other people can find out what's really going on in real time, because you won't hear about these type of stories from the mainstream media. But it looks like the stakes are high. So as of right now, palladium is at $1,083. And based upon this sanctions situation, it could shoot up a lot higher. But palladium, for instance, is an essential component in semiconductors and catalytic converters. At this exact moment, it looks like titanium is about $6.18 a kilogram. And of course, it's crucial for everything from aircraft construction to medical devices and a lot more. So targeting these resources would undoubtedly put pressure on Russia's economy, but then again, it won't stop it. But there's a catch. Many people realize that Europe relies heavily on Russia palladium and titanium, with major countries like Germany and France in particular. And so the US getting Europe on board is a whole nother can of worms, because they risk having their supply chain cut off entirely, and that's something that they can't live without. So let's unpack this a little bit more. See, first, while the U.S. has already blacklisted Russian titanium, it's clear that the Western nations have been cautious about expanding on these two metals. And so the question is why? My suspicion is the fear of sending global markets into a frenzy. This Russian company, Norilsk Nickel, controls nearly 40% of the world's palladium supply. And because of this, they might be too big to actually sanction. But trying to disrupt that flow will be like pulling a thread from a delicate fabric, and things could unravel very quickly, leading to shortages and price hikes, vital industries like automotive and tech. Second, the European Union's position is critical. It's not just about standing against Putin, it's about weighing the cost of sanctions on their own economy. Airbus, for example, would feel the heat if titanium supply is dried up, with the potential ripple effects on the broader aviation industry. So as you can see here, Airbus was pleading with the European governments not to sanction them because they need titanium. And it's clear that Putin knows this as well. In fact, in September, he floated the idea of limiting Russia's exports of metals like titanium, uranium, and nickel, attempting to call the West bluff what looks like a game of economic chicken. So lastly, the timing is everything. As the G7 considers tightening the noose on Russia, there's growing skepticism about whether the sanctions would actually harm Putin more than they would actually hurt the Western economies. The US may be pushing for a tougher stance, but Europe's reluctance isn't just hesitation, it's self-preservation. A lot of people seem to underestimate the importance of palladium, but not the thieves in the street that love stealing catalytic converters off all these new modern vehicles. And just to show you how important Russia is in the palladium game, let's look at some figures right here. So as you can see this map on the screen here, it says which countries export palladium unwrought or in powder form. And as you can see over here, Russia's leading the way, and this is back in 2020 with about 6.4 billion. Then you got the United States over here at 14.7, which is 3.6 billion. Then you got the UK at 4.2 billion. And what's most notable is the strategic Putin has right now, because he knows how much the world needs palladium. And in fact, as it says here, in 2021, Russia exported 6.55 billion in palladium, including 1.58 billion to the US. And so when international sanctions disrupting Russia's exports, the world's largest producer, palladium prices have climbed to their highest levels. It says here, the day Putin announced his decision to, quote, special military operation in eastern Ukraine 2 years ago, palladium traded at $2,372 per ounce. 2 weeks later, as the economic sanctions on Russia escalated, the price reached a historic high of $3,302 per ounce. And as we can see, it came down a whole lot since then. But given these sanctions that might be put back on Russia with this particular metal here, I wouldn't be too surprised to see that metal go to $4,000 or $5,000 an ounce. And then the next question is, what about all the other metals right above it? So the reality is that even if the G7 agrees to this aggressive move, replacing Russia's supply of palladium and titanium won't change overnight. So the question remains, is the West preparing to sacrifice short-term economic stability for long-term potential pressure on Putin? We're going to have to wait and find out. But in the meantime, with all this back and forth, expect more volatility. But at the end of the day, you know what time it is. get your weight up. So once again, just share my 2 cents and trying to just shine more light on this whole subject matter here. But palladium at this current moment and titanium with platinum as well might be considered cheap based upon where the prices could go if this sanction stuff is actually put on Russia and titanium in there. But we'll have to wait and see. And or after the BRICS meeting, if they happen to announce something to do with a basket of commodities and they put palladium. But curious to hear your thoughts on this matter. Is palladium a good buy for you right now? Curious to hear. Drop a comment down below. Look forward to reading them. And if you're new to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, share this so people can find out what's really happening. And I'll catch you guys later.